Hey, everybody. Happy Monday. Hope you had a great weekend. We are getting ready to record a little bit early today because, well, when Ricky's away, the cats will play. And Scott. And actually, Paige has her first regular season game tonight. It's 6 o'clock Central.
That's so awesome.
I know. It's so weird. And so I want to watch that. It's going to be on ESPN Plus. So we get it used to be like all the games were on the SEC network when she was at Mizzou, like at a big school. Now it's like I got to find like dark web links to find their small school, but we will find them tonight as they take on Ooey Pooey. You know what that is? Ooey Pooey?
No.
Indiana University, Purdue University in Indianapolis. Actually, we ran through there as part of the when we were there for the Indy Mini Marathon with the Shine Golds.
Oh my gosh.
Campus. It's right downtown Indianapolis. So yeah, they're playing. I don't know what their mascot is. Paige's mascot's the Flames, and their hashtag. So hashtag Fire Up Flames. If you're looking for some basketball action tonight at 6, Fire Up Flames. We'll see it. They 2-0 in the exhibition season, and they just crushed people. But like they say, who cares about the exhibition season? This is the real deal tonight. So
yeah,
they only won 3 games last year, so they got anywhere to go but up. I mean,
that's it.
By the end of this week, they could match last year's total. I guess I don't know. We'll see.
That would be
yeah.
Awesome.
So when she was at Mizzou, like they flew everywhere, right? SEC, all the money, private jets everywhere. Yeah, they're in buses all season.
It's a little different.
Yeah, I watched them truck down, Interstate 65 from Chicago to Indy. It was great. Like, yeah, this is gonna be fun for you. You're gonna love it. But I mean, that's it's bonding. I mean, it's great for the team. They're gonna do great. I think they're gonna have a good season. So I can't wait to watch it. So we're gonna record 2 shows here. So hang with us. We are in Fulton. Hey, Fulton, my daughter's in your town. So you could cheer on the Flames there. They got 7th place in the Special Olympics bowling tournament. Hey, congratulations on that. That's awesome.
For sure.
Yeah. We'll take Fulton next time I'm in Indy. We'll bowl against each other. I took bowling twice in college, and I'm still terrible. So I'll challenge you. You'll beat me. So yeah, we're going to record this show, listener questions. And we're going to talk about any questions you have about Disney Cruise Line. We're going to do a first timer's guide to Disney Cruise Line or any other questions you might have about cruise. So we'll do that for Friday. So that'll be the second show. So let those kind of percolate in your brain there, and we will get going here. So let me turn off
percolate
Twitter. Percolate. It's holiday season. They need to bring out that Folgers commercial.
I know that one's so good.
I've been listening to Sirius XM, all the holiday channels. Like,
hello! As soon as it turned on, I was like,
holiday tradition for me. Yes. Holiday traditions, man.
I have them both, and I go back and forth. Every now and then, one of them plays a song I don't like, and I'm like, oh, gotta go to the other one.
There's like on the app. There's like
yes, there's a lot more.
I listen on the app mostly. Yeah, there's tons. All right. Oh, Adam's got an urgent question. Okay, so then we should probably start the podcast. Okay, Adam.
All right, let's do it.
What number are we at here? We are at 2186. Okay, here we go. Oh. Let's put this here. Okay, here we go. Welcome to episode 2186 of the Be Our Guest Walt Disney World Trip Planning Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Rallman from BeOurGuestPodcast.com and one of the senior agents over at the Magic for Less Travel. Happy Wednesday to you. Hope you are having a great midweek. And again, one more time, congratulations to all the Be Our Guest Podcast listeners on a very successful, albeit slightly wet, wine and dine race weekend. I know that it did pour a little bit during the half marathon, but you know what? That was just God saying you didn't take a shower that morning, and we're going to clean you off for the finish line picture. So hopefully everybody had a great time and lots of fun was had. You got lots of pictures. You got to clang around the medals in the parks and just made those memories, because that's what it's all about. And like I said on Sunday night, you know what that means. Marathon weekend, you are on the clock. We are inside of 60 days until till marathon weekend. That is crazy because that means
Nuts.
that's January, which means the holidays will be behind us in 60 days. Slow down, slow down. They just turned on the holiday music on Sirius XM, which I love this time of year. It's all I've been listening to since, except for podcasts. Don't turn us off. But we're gonna have a good time answering your listener questions today. But again, Lizards, very proud of you. You can't wait to run with you here in less than 2 months. So joining me today to answer your listener questions, we're a little bit early live here on Facebook and YouTube for a very cool reason, which I'll talk about here in just a second. But Pam Forrester, co-owner of the Magic for Less Travel, hanging out here on a Monday. What's up, Pam?
I'm excited to be here. It's like another week. Some Mondays you roll into it and you're like, yeah, I mean, it's Monday. You know what I mean? And then some Mondays you're like, oh, I killed it today. I had a Monday where I kind of killed it. So I like that.
It's early though. See, I would say that, but so we are recording early and I appreciate that because, one, Scott and Ricky literally skipped out on us. Scott jumped on a plane on Friday afternoon, like, dude, I'm out of here. I'm like, Scott, you said you're going to record with us on Monday because Ricky's got a shower in St. Louis. Nope. He just got on a plane and went to Disney World. So whatever. I love the guy, but he left us. Fine. He'll be with us again. Love the guy. I would have done the same thing, but also worked out for me to record early because my oldest, Paige, tonight is her very first regular season game as the director of basketball operations for the University of Illinois, Chicago. The Flames are playing against Ooey Pooey, which you're like, Mike, you're making that up. There's not a school called Ooey Pooey. There is. It's Indiana University, Purdue University at Indianapolis. So it's kind of a combined campus there in Indy where the two schools have a school. I mean, it's a legitimate school. I've been there. I ran through it during a half marathon.
It's real.
I saw the sign. I mean, unless it's all like some kind of real big, con, because I ran through the campus during half marathon. I know it's there. And I've seen her on Find My Friends, and it does say Ooey Pooey. So they're playing tonight. So on ESPN Plus, I'll be able to watch her. And it's very cool. We both have daughters. And so I was thinking about this as I was taking her dog for a walk, which, her dog is now taking up residence here because she's super busy in the big city. And it's one of those things, like I was thinking back to, it feels like it was yesterday that, she was a soccer midfielder, about 9 years old. And I was, in the backyard with her at our old house where we had a tiny backyard, but we had these, soccer goals that we made out of PVC pipe and some just cheap netting. And we would be out there all summer to the point where there was no grass on the yard anymore because we would practice and practice and practice so much. She was definitely kind of a gym rat kid. And now she's a woman, she's 26 years old, just celebrated her birthday last week and leading a squad, of these other young women that are awesome athletes, scholar athletes going into, other universities around the Midwest and chasing their dreams. I mean, it's just, the bottom line I want to tell everybody out there that's a parent or that will be a parent soon, Ricky, listen up. It goes so dang quickly. I mean, yeah, literally, we were tearing up the yard every night in our backyard in Florissant, Missouri. And here she is. I'm tuning into ESPN Plus tonight to watch her lead a program in Indiana. It's unbelievable. It makes your heart so full. Like my heart is so full because she's chasing her dream and she's getting there, and you've seen that with Hannah and teaching, and it's being a parent's just an awesome thing. It's just another milestone tonight for us.
I know. It's so funny. When it was her birthday, I, saw that on Facebook and I wrote that I'm so proud of all the things she's doing because, gosh, I've known Paige, it seems like forever. And to see all these people that we know because of the podcast and to see their kids and to see them have kids or to see them get married, it's crazy. And we're sounding once again very old.
It's so old. Because how did this happen? I'm only 29,
Right. Exactly. But how many podcasts can you say that you listen to where the people are like, I remember your kids or I whatever? Because there are some fantastic podcasts out there, but the length of time that people do a podcast is probably not as long as we have been doing a podcast. So I'm just going to say, if nothing else, we have longevity.
Right. I mean, the thing is, because our two daughters, when we started the show and we had meetups, we went to Mouse Fest
Yes.
And, we did some meetups early on, like 2008, 2009.
Yeah.
I would take Paige with me. Hannah would obviously be there. So when we were doing all these events, they would hang out together,
Right.
because they had no other choice. Like, like, oh God, our parents are doing this
Exactly.
podcast. It's weird. And they would hang out together. And there were many times where they knew the lay of the land at Walt Disney World so well that we would give them some freedom that
Oh,
probably
yeah.
most parents wouldn't give their kids that age, because we're like, okay, we know that like how to get everywhere, and we know that how to find us if we have to. But I mean, it is cool because the people that have been with us since the beginning of the show, they got to see them like at these Mickey's Halloween parties,
I know.
when they were just like little kids dressing up like pirates or Alice or pictures are
Yeah,
amazing.
I
Yeah.
know. So it's
Anyway,
awesome.
back to Disney though. I had a proud dad moment there, so I had to say that tonight. But let's get to the first question. Adam in the live chat says he has an urgent question, so we got to get to this.
Urgent. I like the urgent one.
Apparently, we're anything but urgent at the beginning of this show, so let's hit this. His family of 13 are going to be in Orlando starting this Saturday. Best way to get from the boardwalk for a 5 p.m. formal family pictures for offsite guests. Also, Genie Plus for offsite guests. Can I make my first reservation at 7 a.m. or do we need to be in the park? Okay, let's tackle it. 2 questions. I love this. They're going to be all dressed up and spiffed up, and they got to get over to the boardwalk at 5 p.m. for formal family pictures. Adam, I want to see some of these on social media too. Like,
For sure.
Okay, Pam, give some advice there. They're off-site, so I would just use a ride share probably.
That's what I was thinking too.
People though, 13.
You'd have to get a couple.
Race. That's what we do.
Yes, for sure. I think the ride share is going to be your best option. If you have a car, you could drive, and sometimes there is parking available across the street for offsite guests going to the boardwalk, but you can't rely on that being available. And if you drove there from your offsite location, then I think at that point, if they're like, you need to turn around and go back, and you're like, okay, then what would you do? You would have to park at a park and then bus over or whatnot. So I think if you take a ride share from where you are and have them drop you off at the boardwalk, that's probably going to be your best bet.
Okay, so here I was thinking Uber Lyft, and you're right, do 2 or 3 of those, but this might be a time if you have like a party of 13 and I'm picturing like tuxedos, dresses. This is where I might call a place like Happy Limo or something.
Oh, to get like a bus or something.
Then you have a specific locked in driver time, meet here. It's one less stressful thing, and you don't want to be sweating bullets through a tuxedo. I've been there because I mean, we were in a wedding like with the boardwalk, in July.
Yeah.
It's not comfortable. Like, it was great. It was amazing. Jay, Melissa, shout out. But I was like, dude, I was sweating through that tuxedo, and it was not fun. So you don't want to sweat through that. So I might go with like a car service in this case. Get a splurge for a limousine. You're already going to be dressed up like James Bond. I mean, arrive and make it look cool, because you definitely don't want to park because you don't have to deal with the parking. With a limo, even a ride share, they can drop you off right there. Now, as far as Genie Plus, even off site, you can make a first reservation at 7, correct?
As far as Genie Plus, yes, you can. The issue is Lightning Lane. If you're off site, you cannot do Lightning Lane until you are there in the park. So until the park opens.
All righty. Second question is from Daniel Hull, who I believe, he has a Pujols little logo there, and he's a big Mizzou fan as well. So MIZ, don't hit the punter. What are the main differences between hotel only and package bookings? Are you still able to use your Magic Bands the same way? Great question.
Because I love this question.
Fan, talk about it.
So more than ever in the past few years, what we have been recommending for most people is going to be a package reservation. And there's going to be a few reasons for that. First of all, a room only reservation, a hotel only reservation is just that, just a hotel only booking. And then you'll have to have your tickets purchased separately. A package is something that you're going to be able to add things like your tickets to, and there's other options that you can add, but let's just talk about the tickets are the thing that most people add to their package. You could also add Memory Maker and some other things like that. The reason why the package has become so much more appealing is, First of all, if you do a hotel and then buy your ticket separately, if something happens down the line that you have to cancel your tickets or cancel your vacation, you are literally stuck with those tickets. You can't refund them at that point, and all of that. The other thing is then you have to come up with the money for the tickets right then when you purchase them. You'll know because of the park reservation system that you're going to want to make those park reservations as soon as you make your hotel reservation. So that's another reason why we advise people to actually go ahead and do the package instead of the room only reservation. The other advantage to the package is that it only requires a $200 deposit, while a hotel only reservation, you're going to pay the average of the night, one night of your stay, you're going to pay that amount for your deposit. So depending on where you're staying, that's going to be much more than the $200 required for the package. The balance of the package reservation is due 30 days in advance. You can make payments if you choose to do that. Trying to think all the rest. There's other things that you can add. Some people like to add insurance. That's something that's only available through a package. The thing that we can do as agents is we can do a package that's called sort of a basic package or a ticket list package that does not include tickets, but again, still has that same flexibility of a regular package. And we've been doing a lot of those for guests now, particularly because now they've actually changed it. So even the room only reservations are released on the same schedule as a package reservation. So that's maybe a little more than you ever wanted to know about packages versus room only, but just wanted to make sure that you have all the information there. And regardless of what you book, whether you book a hotel only reservation or a package reservation, as long as they're booked directly through Disney or a travel agency that works with Disney like we do, you'll be able to use your Magic Band exactly the same. It doesn't matter at all. The Magic Band is actually just sort of a tool that you use to access the information that is in your My Disney Experience account.
Yep. Magic Band's going to work just pretty much exact same way. The only, again, echoing the packages, the biggest thing I say as a travel agent is the package, the discounts or the deposit's always going to be $200.
Yes.
Always, no matter what the pack, it could be a $10,000 booking or a $1,500 booking, $200 deposit.
Mm-hmm.
If you're doing a room only and you're staying at a deluxe, you might be shocked at what it is. Sometimes you're like, what? I thought it was $200, and it's not. It's a lot more. But again, then everything's refundable on the package. Tickets are not non-refundable. But then, you're there's just a lot of things. So you're refundable until 30 days prior to arrival on a package, but you get all the way up until 6 days, or I say 6, actually it's 5 for a room only. So there's just a lot of differences, but once you get there, it's all the same. But
it is.
Packages are the way to go. And so actually too, like Pam said, you can book with your tickets. And then later, if you don't need the tickets, like I've had people that are like, I'm not sure if I'm going to renew an annual pass. I'm like, okay, what we're going to do is we're going to book this with like a 7-day hopper or even a 7-day base. Because if you got an annual pass, you're not sure you're renewing. Who cares about the hopper at that point? Let's just book it with a 7-day base. So you can make theme park reservations. If you renew that annual pass in 6 months, what we'll do is I'll call Disney. I'll remove the tickets. It'll be a basic package. You'll just have basically a room only. You do have to pay for it 30 days out. Then you're set. No harm, no foul. You don't pay for the tickets. That's kind of, that's why it's good to have a travel agent, because like we do this every day. Like it's simple, it's an easy way, but you got your theme park reservations covered. You're covering like all these bases.
That's the thing. Like that's our job, to think of where things could go wrong so that you have the least impact on your vacation if in fact something does go wrong. And I kind of spit out all that information as if that's what I do all day. Talk about things.
I mean, because and to be honest, like when you first start booking travel, you get stressed out about these things because there are so many things. But like that's the good. It's like any profession, right? Like when I was a teacher, the first year I had parent-teacher conferences, I was a nervous wreck. But like in year 10, I was just, I sat down, I could have had Taco Bell while I was having conferences. I didn't care. Like I've done these so many times. Like nothing was going to shock me at that point. I mean, it would take a lot to shock me. Let's just say that. So, it's just like once you work through all these scenarios till COVID hit, and hurricanes and stuff like that. Now that still is a shock to the travel age, I'll say. But other than all right, next question before we get anything else. Phil says, got a question. Best way to get a fam of 6 from the studios to Hoop-de-Doo, preferably without paying for Uber. Well, if you're from the I would just take a bus to Fort Wilderness. Right? I mean, is that
Yep.
yeah, because there's
Absolutely, you can take a bus, right from, right from the studios to all the Disney resorts, any of the theme parks. That's actually the best way to get around. So, yep, you'll be able to do just that.
but you'll do a double bus on that because you will catch a bus that'll drop you off at the front of Fort Wilderness, and then you'll get on
Yep.
another bus that'll take you back to Pioneer Hall, or it'll tell you like where you, but you need to go to Pioneer Hall.
Yeah, you can walk it too, depending on how tired you are and how tired your feet are. We've done that a few times, but there's something about Fort Wilderness that is so charming. I it just feels very nostalgic to me, doesn't it? To you too? Like that's what I enjoy about it. So
Smells like the country.
it does.
Smells like many places in Missouri. It smells like home.
Yeah, right.
And you inevitably get a kid that's like from New York City, like, I was like, that just smells like where I'm from, kid. Get over it. Sean has a question here. Headed to Walt Disney World on Sunday. We're going to be in the parks Monday through Wednesday. Do we know when the Christmas tree stroll will start at Disney Springs?
Mm. That's a good question. I don't think they've announced it yet.
I don't know. I think they are having. I'm pretty sure they said they are having it, right?
I saw them release. So today they had an article that came out about all the foods that are going to be available at for the holidays at Disney Springs, and then they also included some of the ones there that were at the parks and different resorts. And I will say, if you haven't seen that yet, go check that out because that has lots of information. But they did not release information on the stroll yet.
So I hate when they send those emails about the foodie guides because they I swear, like they used to be like very rare. I swear we get that like every 3 days now.
Yeah, we do.
It's the foodie guide to Food and Wine Festival. You know, it was always the big ones. It's the foodie guide to, Festival of the Arts. Now it's like it's the foodie guide to next Thursday.
I know.
Dang that stuff. I mean, because let's face it, we live in the Instagram generation. Again, here I go, sound like I'm 82, but it's like, dude, if that food looks half as good as it photographs,
right?
Get me on a plane. This is why Scott got on a plane Friday. He's like, I'm eating all the stuff that was in the last guide because it looks so dang good. In the holidays, I mean, it's just, I guess we can say like we're past November, so society's changed. So it is the holiday season now. Like we're not,
For sure.
Nobody's waiting for Thanksgiving at this point, I guess.
No.
Like that was like 2 years ago or something. So I guess it's all fair game. Like eat all the whoopie pies that are red and green and everything, right? I mean, because that's what Disney's telling us.
Like I looked at some of the stuff that Amorette's is making. That's that little French bakery in Disney Springs, and I was like, how can they even make things that look like this? I mean, they look so fantastic. So, yeah.
And they're making those, that place is actually making those little, I don't even know what they're called, like the little, what are they, like little stuffed animals? Like they're not wishables, but they're like
squishmallows.
Squishmallows.
Yeah.
I'm not a collector, but yeah, they're making those. But I don't care what they look like. I just want them to taste good.
Exactly.
Like they don't have to be shaped like anything. Just,
Yes.
as long as they taste good, let's bring it on. All right. Let's see here. Nancy's got a great question. I get this question a lot at the agency, actually. Simple question. Would you suggest Genie Plus if we're using DAS, the Disability Access System, or the system to help out folks that need alternate places to wait out the wait times at Walt Disney World? When people ask me this, I say yes, and here's why I say this. And again, I'm one that doesn't like to spend extra money where you don't need to. However, when my guests are getting back, I like to have discussions with guests. They're always like, I got back, we had a good time, or, I wish this would have been different. Because the best thing I can get from my guests is feedback, because every trip is different. Some people stay in value, some people stay in deluxes, some people, go for a weekend, some people stay for 2 weeks. And it's the dynamics of every Disney vacation are so different that I learn from every trip that one of my guests takes. And then what happens is, in this little small brain that I have, I try to use it to the best of my knowledge for everybody that takes a future trip. I try to be the best advocate I can for my guests using current data that I'm getting from guests that just got back. And so what I'm hearing from my guests is Genie Plus is saving guests a lot of time. And the reason I say combine this with the DAS system is DAS is basically a system that is in there to give you alternate places to wait out wait times, where what you could do with Genie Plus is you can basically pre-book and avoid longer wait times. And basically what you're going to be doing in this situation is basically kind of waiting out two instances at once. So if your alternate, if your alternate wait time for Splash Mountain, say you walk up, it's a 60-minute wait, and they say come back in 60 minutes. Okay. You could still be using Genie Plus at that same time to reserve a spot for Big Thunder Mountain. So maybe within when that 60 minutes is up, you might be able to ride Big Thunder and Splash Mountain within 70 or 80 minutes. I say combine them and maximize your time. But Pam, what do you say for folks that are thinking about this same scenario?
I know it's interesting because we have a number of agents whose family have access to DAS for a number of reasons. And this is something that we often talk about in the team. Like, do you do this? Do you do Genie Plus and the DAS, whatever? And they've sort of gone through the pros and cons for them. But I can tell you in our team, of the people that do use DAS, they also choose to use Genie Plus at the same time too. The majority of them. So that's something to keep in mind. I think what it does is it gives you additional options. You're then, like Mike said, waiting in line, actually not waiting in line, but you're waiting.
Yes.
Right, waiting for the times to come up when you can access 2 attractions instead of the 1. And I think that may give you additional options based on what you need. It just is something that gives you different options. So,
and so she's here in our live chat with us, which we really appreciate that. She says we do, and she's going, let's see, she said on next week they're headed down. Everybody's going to be down there soon, it looks like,
right?
For the feedback, so except me. She says we do have 2 pre-booked DAS already. There are 5 of us, and Genie Plus will be expensive. So here's what I would say. Try it for your day in the Magic Kingdom.
That's what I was going to suggest too.
Like, just do it for one day. I would do it for your Magic Kingdom day. And then, you know what? Go without it on the other days. But if you feel you need it, you can always purchase it. Like, this doesn't have to be now. You're not buying it for the entire length of the stay as part of the package. But I would get it for the Magic Kingdom day because it's what it's like my Top Gun saying. It's like it's a target rich environment. There's a lot to use on there.
It is.
And so I think you'll get your money's worth there. But yeah, that would be a good compromise, I would say.
I think so too. Try it that day, Nancy, and then see if you want to go from there. The parks that we find it to be the most beneficial are the Magic Kingdom and Hollywood Studios. And Hollywood Studios primarily because there's a number of sort of e-ticket attractions that people want to experience. So I think when you combine those, that's the way. But try it first at Magic Kingdom. I'm so glad it's your first park because then you can try it out there. And the other thing with Magic Kingdom is I think that it is something that can be an overstimulating environment in a lot of ways. And the DAS system can help with that as well. Plus, you feel a lot like sometimes you're crisscrossing the parks too. And I think DAS helps with that as well too. So given all those things, I still think that's the way to go with the Magic Kingdom. And tell us when you come back what it's going to be like.
Yeah, definitely, have a great time. And when you get back, drop in here.
Yeah.
And just, give us a couple words of wisdom as to, was it worth it? Did you not need it at the Magic Kingdom? And by the way, I'm super jealous because Pam and I were just talking about how this season we're Christmas junkies. I mean, Pam's got 37 trees already up in her house right now. It's crazy. I don't have any up yet, but I've been listening to SiriusXM nonstop. And like, you're going down, you're going to have the Christmas trees. You have the garland on Main Street. You have Jingle Cruise. Oh, and the Christmas parties are starting. You have all the Christmas. You're going to have such a good time. I'm so jealous. So Nancy, let us know how it goes. I think you're going to have a great time.
And she follows up and she said, better get Genie Plus and individual lightning lanes. Correct. And I say yes.
Yes.
Because the lightning lanes are actually really only going to help you with 1 attraction per park right now. They've added most of the attractions now are available through Genie Plus. Then there's only 1 attraction in each park, which you need the lightning lane for.
All righty, let's head to the inbox. Sarah says, hey, Mike and BOGP crew, I have an upcoming trip this December, and I have booked Sangria University for a Saturday afternoon.
I have my master's, by the way.
Sounds like a good Saturday afternoon to me.
For sure.
He says, I plan on riding the bus to Coronado Springs from Animal Kingdom Park. Which bus stop around Coronado Springs would I use to be dropped off closest to Three Bridges? Thanks so much. And I love the podcast. Sarah, she says, go Penn State. Oh, I'm guessing, I'm trying to think. It would be the main Grandestino stop, right? That'd be the closest. Just walk
Yeah.
up to the tower and out the back.
I mean, yes, I think so too. I guess there's probably one around. You know what? You could do any of them. Really,
you're right, because
it's in the middle.
It's in the middle of the lake.
Yeah, it is. It's in the middle of the lake, and I can see there being one at Cabanas that was close to. That would be my other choice, probably, to just walk across the. Since they added Three Bridges, okay, we're gonna be confessed Coronado lovers, right? We enjoy the Coronado.
I didn't go to Wine and Dine, and I thought I was booked at Pop Century, right? So I held on to my room reservation until like 6 days out. Like I was like, I'm not canceling it and I thought I was at Pop Century. I went to cancel it. I was at Coronado. I was like, oh, no.
Dang it, right?
Bad.
I know. So the thing about Coronado is since they added that section in the middle where Three Bridges is, and they added bridges. They literally added bridges.
3 of them. I know.
They come together, right? It has made accessing things at Coronado so much easier because you really cut off part of that lake that you used to have to walk. Sometimes when you were at the far end of the ranchos to get back to the main building, it seemed like it took a while. I've been in the furthest ranchos building now with the bridge, and it's a much easier walk. So anyways, we love Coronado, and I think you'll have a great time there. The Sangria University is so fun. They just do such a great job. They're knowledgeable and you learn something. It's edutainment with drinks. So
isn't that all? Speaking of education,
that's how school should be.
It's a great transition because we have some feedback in the live chat, which I got to send a shout out to Chad, who's our next little piece of feedback here. He was very gracious. He's one of my guests over at the Magic for Less, and he teaches a course on ACT prep. Right. And so I have a daughter who's in high school she is not about taking the ACT yet, but her dad and mom are both teachers with master's degrees who are thinking about this because she just thinks she's going to roll into the University of Alabama or Mizzou or whatever just because she's cool. And that isn't how this works. You know, she's 14, she's got a lot of learning here. He very graciously sent this big guide to taking the ACT and doing the best you can. He teaches this course, and we just got that over the weekend. And Mallory had 3 of her cheerleading friends spending the night that night. And I said, okay, one of my listeners sent this guide here because we went out to dinner, right? And so the envelope had her name on it. Then we didn't open it yet. So we just left it sitting on the table. Well, she opens it while we're at dinner. We're at Texas Roadhouse, and she calls us like, Mom, Dad, why am I getting an ACT prep guide? I'm like, oh, your friends are there, right? You guys can start studying right now. One of our great listeners of the show, one of my great guests over at the Magic for Less is concerned that you get in the best school possible.
That's right.
We are going to start class when we get back from Texas Roadhouse. I will bring the leftover rolls and the butter, and we'll all sit around the table and we'll start the guide. And shut up, Dad. But no kidding. Chad, thank you so much because we are going to absolutely use this. Hopefully it'll save us thousands of dollars on a scholarship at some point and get her in the school she wants. But it was very thoughtful. And but Chad, back to the Disney, he says with Genie Plus, they hit rope. This is over at Epcot. He said hit rope drop Ratatouille if Skyliner get Genie Plus for Test Track, head straight to Soarin' at the land, go to Test Track, Genie Plus, then use Genie Plus with no waits for tons of other rides. Did this last trip and worked great.
That's awesome. Yeah, I love to hear the strategies for sure.
That's awesome. And he also says they literally have 4 Christmas trees up already, lights going on the house this week. So there you go.
Yeah. That's what Steve did this weekend too. He put lights on the front of the house because it was so beautiful. And then he came back in, and then like 3 hours later, he says to me, I fell off the ladder. I'm like, what?
Clark Griswold.
Yes. And I'm like, you're kidding me. He's like, nope. He's like, but I hit the ground and I rolled. He's like, and I popped back up.
I'm okay.
I'm like,
The neighbors
okay.
call 911.
Right? That's what I was like. Did anyone see this happen and come like rescue? He's like, nope.
And all the stupid stuff that's on TikTok and Insta and Reels, like
Right?
we need that with like some cool song.
I
behind it.
know. I should check the cameras to see if
Oh yeah,
there
yeah.
was
You
the
guys don't have
recording.
best cameras? That'd be awesome. Okay, back to the next question. It says parents' first visit, and it's from Corey in Nashville, Tennessee. Hello, everyone. I'm headed to Walt Disney World this January along with my husband, sister, and parents. This is going to be my parents' first visit, and they are very excited. My question is, my parents will be coming into Orlando at noon versus the rest of us arriving later in the evening at 8 p.m. They don't want to go to the parks, but do want to explore. What do you suggest for them to do? I offer to make them a dinner reservation for them too. Any ideas? For context, we're staying at Saratoga Springs and will not have a car. Thanks, Corey. Oh my gosh, this is simple, right?
Yeah, this is a no-brainer.
You just make a nice dinner reservation for them at Disney Springs, and they just
Yeah.
explore the springs, walk right over, and
Yes.
they can't get lost, and there's a world to them with no stress.
Yeah, it is. And it's it's just I really do like Disney Springs since it became Disney Springs. I was a fan of what it used to be as well, but I really like all the options that are there, and I love that you can walk to it at Saratoga. It's actually one of my favorite things about Saratoga is that it is within walking distance to Disney Springs. It really has a nice walk. You sort of end up coming in right over there by the Christmas shop and all of that. So I think that's the best thing to do. There's so many great dining choices, really and truly, from Morimoto's to Homecoming to the Boathouse. There's too many to even name. And I love the lounges, and there's some great ones there too. Jock Lindsay's is a really cool place to hang out. But yeah, they'll be able to enjoy for sure.
I deleted the email, but I was trying to see if it was a Saturday or Friday night. I definitely have an ADR, but if it was, especially this, did she say, I got the retention of like a or something, right? Did she say December, or January? Because if it's December, it'll be crazy. Anyway, I would make an ADR just to be safe. But if you don't have an ADR, you do have great places where you could go, like Polite Pig. I love Polite Pig.
Yeah. I
And
agree.
Even Smithsville has really good food. I mean,
we went there.
Yeah, we did. And it was so good. But I mean, your parents would say you're drunk if you tell them, yeah, just go to the bowling alley and you're going to have like, what? But it is so, trust me, but it is so good to be. You got Deluxe Burger, you got Blaze Pizza, you got, a lot of places you could walk up to. But yeah, I would make an ADR for a place like Boathouse or,
I would too.
And Marie and Enzo's, good places.
Yeah, there's so many.
They could just watch, so there's always live entertainment over there. They'd totally have a good time until you get there. I mean, they could not be at a better resort to like get there early and just kind of be on their own, even for first timers, because you don't have to navigate any Disney transportation. Like you literally just walk outside your resort across the bridge and you got entertainment, you got dining, you have shopping. You can't get lost. It would be hard to.
Yeah.
Really. Put them on Find My Friends.
Yes.
Okay, and not need polite pig for dinner. Oh, I love it. I could smell it right now, like virtually. Like,
oh, I know. So when this is a great tip, but when my family has been going lately, it's me, Steve, and Hannah. We've been adding. They call it like the butcher board. We've been buying one of those. It's like a sampler platter that's meant to be split, and the three of us get it. I think it's meant for two people, but the three of us split it, but you get to pick like 3 or 4 different meats. And a couple of sides. And so that I love this because then you get to sort of sample a number of the things, and it's so good.
Bring it. That sounds like marathon weekend. There'll be no sharing. Scott and I are going there getting one of those each. Okay.
It's enough to share. I promise.
I have a big appetite. Okay, my good friend Paul. Love Paul. He always emails me with encouragement. This is one of those great friends from the Disney community. Just great gentleman. He gave some feedback about one of the questions we had a couple of weeks ago. He says, Mike, hope you're doing great. Wonderful to hear about Paige's first scrimmage. Hope the whole family's doing great. And Super Dog Riley, of course. I heard a question that I might be able to help with. Feel free to forward my email if it helps your listener regarding the storytellers at Christmas time. One year, my family and I had a day at Epcot. We had no rides, but we wanted to do the storytellers and the processional. Success. My suggestion is when the times are available, even if it's the week before your park day, use what you have. Write in a column each storyteller and their time. A path will make itself available to you to get to all of them if you allow 5 to 20 minutes to travel from country to country. Our plan worked by skipping rides, going to see the Voices of Liberty too. Don't miss them at Christmas time, and the processional. If the day they got their story times changed, it's easy enough to swap and adjust if you have a base plan. It's doable. If not, you'll see most and you'll have the best time doing it. These performers are gold. My favorites are Norway and Italy. Thanks for all you do, Mike. Your friend Paul. So, he's been there, and that's one of those things that he didn't do any attractions where you might be able to drop in, an attraction here and there, but these storytellers, he's exactly right. They're gold and they're only there during this time of year. So, Test Track's always going to be there. Soarin's always going to be there. Frozen Ever After, the Mexico boat ride. But when you're there at the holidays and at Christmas, take advantage of that and see these performers.
That's the beauty of it. I mean, when you're going at a special time and there's something going on, if there's anything special going on, we always encourage you to take advantage of that. This is, the festivals, the food booths, the extra attractions. This is something that Disney does so well, and it's worth it. Don't consider only the rides as the main focus of the rides and the shows. Make sure that you look at those entertainment guides because Disney is great at the entertainment.
All right. Next question from the inbox is from Howard, and we got to meet back in 2018, which he gave me a picture there, and I remember it now that I see the picture. So Howard, good hearing from you again. He called actually into the live show on Sunday night, so hear him on the replay tomorrow. He says, "Hey, Mike, I'll be planning a trip to Walt Disney World in the winter of 2025 after I retire from teaching." So how cool is that? Wrapping up a teaching career here in the next couple of years. "I want to go around January as I would like to have as comfortable a temperature as possible." He says, "I'm Canadian. I know enough to avoid marathon weekends and President's Day. So that basically leaves the last 3 weeks of January and the first week of February. Are there other times to avoid in that period? Are there other factors to consider? We recently had a 3-night trip over Halloween weekend and we stayed at the LBV Hilton. I think it might make an interesting trip report episode where I describe what a short trip was like in 2022 compared to 2 4-night trips we took in 2010 and 2016. I had the brief pleasure of meeting you at Animal Kingdom in 2018 in July. All the best, Howard." All right, so he's looking to go in January. He's right. You want to avoid, if you're just going for vacation, avoid marathon weekend, avoid Martin Luther King weekend. We talked about this on Sunday night briefly. And also avoid Princess Weekend in February, which is the last weekend of February, and avoid President's Day weekend, which is usually the third weekend of February. I think what we came up to on the call, and I just wanted to see if you concur. Ideally, if I had to pick any of the time in that 3-week window, I would go the first week maybe the first week of February, and I would be out of Disney ideally by Valentine's Day, maybe the 15th or 16th, and bounce out. But what would you say?
I love that idea. I was going to mention Valentine's Day. I don't think it's a huge bump in crowds, but I think what it does do is sort of make advanced dining reservations a little more challenging because locals want to come over and have a good meal too. So I'm with you, my friend. I am, looking to be out of my area as much of February as possible. So I think that you've really identified some great things. As you move into March and April, of course, you have folks getting their spring breaks starting during that time. And I think that causes things to be a little more crowded too. So,
and I think the weather is more stable in February than it is in January. January, it is just, you can get beautiful days in Florida. I mean, just gorgeous days, but you can also get bitter cold days in January. I mean, he's Canadian. Howard's like, whatever. He's laughing. He's like, putting on my shorts. And I do the same, but I freeze. But February just tends to have just awesome weather, and it's more reliable in February for some reason. So I would lean towards early February than late January if it were me. I mean, is a week going to make the difference? Probably not, but it could. Who knows? But hey, congratulations on the teaching career. We appreciate you being in there with the kids. That's
For
awesome.
sure.
All right. Well, hey, that's going to do it for today's show. Thank you for the questions. And if you want to drop a question into the inbox, we'd love to have it. So just send that question to mike@beourguestpodcast.com. Put listener question in the header there, and we'll drop it into the question queue and get that on the show. And if you want to get to your question right away, join us on Facebook or YouTube to subscribe to the show on either one of those platforms, and you'll get a notification when we go live. Sometimes we go live early, but usually it's around 5:30 Eastern time. So you can kind of count on that unless we have something else going on. But we'd love to have you in the live chat, as we've had Jennifer and Kathy and Chad and Scott and everybody joining us today. It's been a lot of fun. Don't forget, our shows are always brought to you by the Magic for Less Travel. The agents are standing by during this busy holiday season. We're like Santa's little elves helping you plan Disney vacations and also Universal vacations. We just want to take care of you, to take all the stress off your shoulders and make that vacation possible at the lowest cost out there. Cost you nothing extra to book with the Magic for Less. And Pam, I saw in the news this morning as I was on the treadmill, a story. Now I'm listening to podcasts, so I'm only watching the lower thirds as they go by. But I did see that one of the stories that they were talking about was that one of the biggest threats to retail this holiday season, which of course the news is always doom and gloom. One of the biggest threats to retail is travel, because people are giving travel, which makes sense because, experiences, that's what life's all about, right? Give a trip. It's less stressful, and it's something you'll talk about for a decade.
I know there was a period of time, I know when Hannah was younger, that I was like, this child does not need one more thing. What she needs.
Polly Pockets.
Yeah, that's right. Those
Ah!
little shoes. Yeah, what this child needs and our whole family needs were experiences. And, of course, I'll probably be biased in this, but I think that travel is one of the things that you buy that really does enrich your life. It's amazing the way that it does that. When I look at the memories that we had and the things that we were able to do, I would take that any day over a Polly Pocket, a Lego, or anything else like that. So, yeah.
Or drum set. Just saying.
Yeah, right.
I think I'll get Ricky's kid in a few years a drum set.
I think that's electronic toys that make really
100%.
annoying noises.
Yes. That'll be money well spent. Yes. It's going to happen. Anyway, check it out. All the details are over at themagicforless.com. We're standing by. We want to help you plan a great vacation. Also, please use our Amazon affiliate link this holiday season. It really does help us out. It's one extra click, takes you right back to the Amazon site. It's beourguestpodcast.com/Amazon. And a sincere thank you to the patrons of the Be Our Guest Podcast who support us each and every month. We could not do this without you. Thank you so very much. And our patrons get that bonus show as well called Mike in the Midwest. Crazy topics every week, but they're always a lot of fun. Join us over there, patreon.com/Be Our Guest Podcast. Give Pam a follow on the social media. She's at TMFLT Pam. I'm at Be Our Guest Mike, and would love to talk to you on Twitter and Instagram this week as well. And of course, this Sunday night, if Scott comes home from Walt Disney World, it'll be you, me, and Scotty G. If not, it'll just be me. I will be here. And I got to say, last Sunday night, it was just me and the callers. We had so many great callers. We had such a good time. There was one point we had 5 calls in the queue coming in at the same time. It was just call after call after call. We had so much fun. We talked Disneyland. We talked cruise. We talked Christmas. We talked, it was just tons of crazy topics. And the hour went by in 5 minutes. So we're going to do that again this Sunday night. So put it on the calendar, 7:00 Eastern, 6:00 Central, Facebook and YouTube. We'll be taking your calls. It's going to be a lot of fun. So join us for that. All right. We're going to be back again on Friday. We're talking about why, if you think it's too much work to go to Walt Disney World right now, which I mean, it isn't, but there's a lot of things to consider. If you want to just chill and make it super easy, take a Disney cruise. I'm just telling you, there's lots of reasons. We're going to kind of do a first timer's guide to Disney Cruise Line because we've had a couple listeners ask if we could do that, but we're also going to discuss why Disney cruises are just so dang easy and they're so dang awesome once you get on the ship. So get ready to head out to sea, get ready for tropical breezes, and get ready for some fun tips. They're going to help you get the most out of that next Disney cruise coming your way on Friday because nothing says Christmas like a Disney Cruise Line ship.
Yes, for
Whatever.
sure.
It doesn't, but well, it does kind of. I mean,
Tropical
they
Christmas.
put up Christmas trees in there, nothing better. So, join us again on Friday. We're going to head out to sea with Disney Cruise Line. So until then, for Pam, I'm Mike, wishing you a great Wednesday. Stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll see you real soon. Save that bad dog. Episode, what was it, 2186? Yep. Edited. I hope there's not a strike. I haven't heard anything about that. I don't follow the business stuff real close. I just kind of follow the other stuff. All right, let's do. And I saved Kathy. I saved your question because we're doing a cruise line show here, so that's why I didn't do that one. Because there is a rule Disney Cruise Line. It's noon, so you're good. Barely.
Yeah, and it's different for each port too, which is a wild one.
I think Miami's still noon too, right?
I think.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Miami is noon. Don't get me in trouble. Let's see. Let me change the bottom third. I think it is noon though.
It does say like if you click on it in the know before you go, I believe, too, for Disney Cruise Line.
Okay. Oh, there we go. Got it. All right. So, 2188. Welcome to episode 2188 of the Be Our Guest Walt Disney World Trip Planning Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Rallman from BeOurGuestPodcast.com and one of the senior agents over at the Magic for Less Travel. Happy Friday to you. And again, happy Veterans Day to all the veterans in our audience. You are the greatest among us. You are out there serving or have served our country. And we thank you for that service because you've been out there and you've put in your time and defended our country. And we thank you so very much for that because without that service, we would not have such a great country and be able to do what we do. So we are behind you and we thank you. And we hope that you have a great weekend and get to relax and enjoy time with friends and family. So today we are going to head out to sea with Disney Cruise Line. God, I love Disney Cruise Line. So I'm excited for this show. Joining me, I have a fellow fan of the Disney Cruise Line product. I can tell you that. Here's your friend of mine, Pam Forrester. Pam, what's going on? Happy Friday.
Happy Friday. And we do get to talk about one of my favorite topics. I love all of my Disney vacations, but I will say that I think the cruise line one is the most relaxing. I and many of our agents actually are Platinum Castaway Club members, which means we've taken a number of cruises. We take our research very serious here. We're serious about knowing the product. So I love to talk Disney Cruise.
Y'all will never have a platinum record nor a platinum podcast award, but I am platinum with Disney Cruise Line. So right. I take that seriously. When I get that lanyard string that's, black, I wear that thing like, like I won an Oscar or something.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
Not taking that sucker off for the duration of the cruise because it's just awesome. But no, so today we are going to have some fun and we're going to look at it from a Walt Disney World fan perspective as well, because, here's the thing. We're going to jump right in because one of my guests over at the Magic for Less, Faison, so shout out to Faison up in Washington. A couple of my other guests have been asking like, hey, could you please do a show where you discuss, some of the things to think about as a first-time guest with Disney Cruise Line. And we've done this probably 8 or 9 years ago, but it's time to kind of revisit this. And I thought we would also, at the very beginning of the show, talk about this from a different perspective because I think we have different things to cover from 8 or 9 years ago, because when we talked about the differences between Walt Disney World vacations and Disney Cruise Line 8 or 9 years ago, you had different things to consider because Right now, when you go to Walt Disney World, well, it's just as much fun when you get there. You have a lot of stuff that you got to make park
Mhm.
reservations, and there's a lot of considerations where one of the things that I get with my first time cruisers at Disney Cruise Line, and I'm booking a lot of Disney cruises, I'll be honest, I've booked a lot lately, is that folks that are going for the first time that are veteran Walt Disney World guests, I think they get a little panicky. I get these emails almost every time from people that are veteran Walt Disney World travelers. And what it is almost to a guest is that they feel like they're missing something. Like
Right.
they feel like, should I be doing something?
Right.
Like nothing's happening. And I'm like, well, you paid your deposit, right? Yeah. Okay. Okay. So your final payment isn't for, another 6 months. Okay. So you don't have to do online check-in until, 75 days out is your first cruise. Yeah.
Right.
You just watch videos and, just buy your clothes and, get excited, because they feel like I should be stressed. Like I should have all these things I got to be doing.
Right.
I think that's the biggest difference right now between Disney Cruise Line and Walt. Am I right, Pam? I mean, I think
Yeah.
that's where it is right now.
Yes, for sure. I mean, that's really part of it. I absolutely agree with you. There are people that are like, okay, what do I have to do next? I'm like, just sit back and wait for a while because there's not a lot to do. Many people think about booking their cruise earlier, and you can also do a last minute one too. But regardless of that, there is not the part for the guests that really goes into, you don't have to spend a lot of time planning. You might want to research the ports you're going to visit to see what kind of excursions you might be interested in, but your dining arrangements are pretty much made for you. You could add on maybe a visit to one of the adult only dining reservations when you do your online check-in, but other than that, you don't have all those things you have to plan for. So it makes the planning very easy.
Which I think really drives some Walt Disney World, like type A people, just nuts, because the thing is,
Yes.
you just have to, when you go on a really intense, like say you're going on a trip with extended family, you're taking a larger group to Walt Disney World. I mean, let's face it, it almost is like taking on like a part-time job if you're
Oh
not
yeah.
like a travel planner like us. I mean, this is what we do for a full-time job because there's that demand for this kind of service.
Yes.
When you go with Disney Cruise Line, it's here's my selling point when people ask about a Disney cruise for the first time and they're Disney fans. Here's what I tell them. I tell them it's like staying at a deluxe Walt Disney World resort. Okay, so here's your comparison. You're going to stay like at a deluxe resort. So say you're staying at like a beach club or like a yacht club or boardwalk, because you're going to have a really themed room, get a veranda, but you're going to, instead of like getting a view of Crescent Lake or a view of the animals at Animal Kingdom Lodge,
Right.
you're going to be looking out at the ocean, or, when you're in port, you're going to be looking at some cool place that you weren't last night. Last night it was the ocean. This morning, boom, it's Cozumel, or this morning it's, St. John, or something like that. So you got that. Your dining, it's like going to signature restaurants every night. Sometimes it's a character meal. Sometimes it's a really nice steakhouse, or,
Right.
some signature meal. So there's your signature dining. It's also like going to a place like Hoop-de-Doo Review. You're going to dinner and a show. So you're gonna have this world-class entertainment, almost Broadway type shows every night. But then here's the bonus is that you're gonna have all these minor things happening throughout the course of the ship. From the time you wake up in the morning till the time you go to bed, you can play bingo, you can do trivia, you can watch a diaper dash, you can learn how to fold towels if that's your jam, which is actually kind of fun. You
It's
can
very fun.
make race cars out of potatoes. You can watch sports with people from all over the world, literally, and like cricket.
Mhm.
It's it's nonstop, but it's very chill too. You can do nothing. So that's what I say when I'm first kind of like taking it from the 30,000 foot level. You're staying at a deluxe hotel, you're getting world-class entertainment, and you're getting the very best service. Like Walt Disney World has great service for their guests. Take that times 10 when you're on Disney Cruise Line, because you're in a confined area and you're with people that you have a stateroom steward that their only job is to take care of you. You have a wait staff in the dining room. They work with you. You don't have different waiters every night. You have the same wait team, wait
Mhm.
staff. So that's kind of how I describe it. Pam, is that accurate? Is that a good way to describe it?
It is. It's a great way to describe it. I mean, the beauty of the Disney Cruise Line is that there's so much that is included in the price of your vacation. Your food is included. And people often ask us, well, what if I want 2 entrees? What if I want to eat at the quick service location and then go up and have dinner? What if I eat my steak and then I want a little bit more? Yes, your food's included. All of that is, except for the little upcharge to visit the adult only reservation. The rest of it's all included. Your entertainment is included, and there really are Broadway caliber shows that's included in the price of your Disney Cruise Line vacation. It's just a fantastic way to travel. You are really traveling on a small city on the ocean, right? Everything you need is right there. There, in addition to the shows, there's also entertainment that Mike said throughout. It's amazing that you feel like there's always something going on, and you don't have to engage in all of it. You get to pick and choose the activities that are important to you. And I always say to people, make sure that you plan a little bit of time to hang out in a deck chair during your cruise, because that's so, so important. It just really is. And as Diane is mentioning in the chat, and this is another thing I wanted to mention, you get to be with characters at Walt Disney World, but there are so many character meet and greets on a Disney cruise.
For example, I just got to jump in. Like, I mean, there's been so many cruises, like you go up a stairwell, like all of a sudden you're like on deck 8, like forward in the stairs, and boom, Tiana's there. Like, what? Hey, Tiana, what's going on? Let's get a selfie. And like, hey, it's unreal. It's like, that would have taken, you'd have waited 45 minutes for that at Walt Disney World.
It's true. And the other thing is that you have an opportunity to really interact and get to know the cast. First of all, your room steward is going to be fantastic. It's someone that you get to know and interact with. They're like ninjas. We have said this before. It's like the second you leave your stateroom, they're in there tidying up. You come back to a fantastically clean and organized stateroom all the time.
They're always trying to catch him. Like, we're like, I'm gonna go back and see if I can catch him in the act of making my bed down.
For sure, right? But you also get to know your wait staff, your serving team, your server and your assistant server, because they travel with you each night of the cruise. They go to the different restaurants that you go to. They get to know your likes, your dislikes. You order like a night one, let's say you order iced tea with dinner and whatever. When you get there for subsequent dinners, they're going to have an iced tea ready for you. I mean, it's just the little things that come to mind when you think about that. But your interactions with the cast is so involved too. And it's not just little interactions here and there. It's everyone you meet goes above and beyond in a way that we all know Disney is fantastic at service. But on the cruise line, they really shine even more. So
I will say even with that too, because we do the podcast cruise and we have ours coming up on the Wish on July 3rd. So if you want to, we have a ton of people booked on this. It's our biggest one yet. And there's still staterooms available, a few. So if you want to get in on that, just let me know. Just come by the Magic for Less, fill out a quote form, and we'll get you some information on that. But we've got all kinds of cool stuff planned besides the Disney Cruise Line stuff. But I will say, as far as the staff, you have this, it's called the cruise director staff. And what they are is they're in charge of it's a group of usually about 10 people, and they're in charge of all the games. Like, they entertain the adults basically. So you'll see them running bingo. You'll see them running towel folding. You'll see them running trivias. They'll be in the clubs at night, silent disco and stuff like that. But the thing is, like, with our group, at least, like when we sail, I'm one of the people, and you're right, you can do nothing. You can relax in a deck chair, but I'm one of those people that I love all the activities. I do not miss it. I go from one thing to the next, to the next, to the next. I can't. And the thing is, like, the cruise director staff will get to know you, and they'll be like, oh God, here come Mike and Scott again. And okay, here we go. And and like, you have this relationship, and it is so much fun. Like, hashtag Tony from Spain. I still talk to him on Instagram from,
right.
Like, and Gino, the bingo guy, or Dino.
Dino.
Like, he was worried we were going to miss the ship in Jamaica when we were at Jimmy Buffett's, like,
It was a legit worry, I think.
Exactly. I mean, but it's just, and that's what makes the experience special. Like
It really
it's
does.
so weird. Like you said, like you want to bring your wait staff home. You want to bring your
Oh,
room staff
yeah.
up because you build this unusually crazy close relationship in like, 100 hours. It's bizarre. Okay, so but let's take it back to like the basics.
Okay.
When you're looking at booking a Disney cruise, so you just, you can go to disneycruise.com, you can go to our website, themagicforless.com. It's all broken down by itineraries. First of all, I would suggest for a first timer, this is just my suggestion. I would look at least a 4-night cruise, somewhere between a 4 and a 7. A 7 is kind of pushing it, but I might look at a Bahamian cruise to kind of get your feet wet and to just kind of explore. But I would look at a 4-nighter, maybe a 5-nighter out of Miami on the Dream, or a
Mhm.
4-nighter on the Wish, possibly to the Bahamas, because that way they're not as expensive. You're kind of just testing the waters. 3 nights are fine. I think those are great for people that are veteran cruisers and just need like a quick fix. Like, I just want to take a quick weekend. I need my hit, boom. I got to take a
Right.
free. But I would do at least a 4 to a 7 for a first timer. Look at those itineraries, Pam. Am I in the right place for a first timer?
Yeah, I like that. I like that idea. I think that it does allow you to get your feet wet with cruising to see if you like it. I know a lot of people going into cruising have worries about different things. And part of that is if you just haven't done it before, you don't know how it's going to work. Some people still worry about seasickness. I can tell you that that's a very rare occurrence. Today's ships have huge stabilizers that come out from it. And there are times when you literally do not feel like you're on an ocean at all. You feel no movement at all. But I think this allows you to sort of try all that out and then get those fears aside, because I think once you try it, you'll love it so much that you'll want to do it again and again. So, yeah, that's perfect advice.
So when you book a Disney cruise, just for the actual mechanics of booking a cruise, because we just talked about this on Wednesday show. We talked about the difference between a room only and a
Mhm.
package for deposits and so forth. So with a Disney cruise, the deposit's going to be 20% of the cruise fare. So to see it, you can kind of budget it, you can kind of look at the prices and know it's going to be 20%. And that deposit is 100% refundable for any reason up until the final payment. And the final payment's usually going to be due between like 90 days to 150 days prior to sailing based on the length of the cruise. So the shorter
Mhm.
cruises, it's around 90 days. For the longer cruises, say a 7-nighter to a 14 or so, it's going to be around 120 to 150 days out. So what I would say, and this is one of the other things, just a hack that the agents are always going to tell you, book as soon as you can, because it's like a supply and demand thing where the more staterooms are available, the lower your price is going to be. So on day one, when the whole ship's available, you're going to get your lowest price possible on those staterooms. As the staterooms become more scarce on a particular sailing, the prices do creep up a little bit. Now, it's not a huge difference. I mean, it's
Mhm.
not going to be gigantic. So, like, if you want to sail and you're like, oh my gosh, it's been on sale for 6 months. It's
Right.
not that big a deal, but we're all trying to save where we can. So it's not going to be like cost prohibitive, but
Mhm.
let's save where we can. So if you can book as early as you can, get the deposit down. And then if it doesn't work out, if you have to cancel, no harm, no foul, get the deposit back. That's what I tell my guests. So Pam, what would you say?
Yeah, it is important. I think whenever we'll put it out there, of course, when new itineraries are released and things like that. But that is a great time to book because, as Mike said, you will get the lower price. The other thing to look at, I think, is when you're considering what you want to do on the cruise, you're going to start thinking about your cabin type, the
Mhm.
type of cabin that you really want. And they go anywhere from inside cabins to suites, and everything in between. You also have ocean view, verandas, a family staterooms, concierge staterooms, and there are also suites on the different cruise ships. Um, and I think that really, fits into, you're going to look and see what fits into your budget, make sure that you explore the different categories. I know both of us, ever since, we've done a veranda, it's really challenging to go back from that. And the reason why is I always feel like the money I spend on a veranda is worth it to me. We use that veranda. Not only do you have the view from your stateroom looking out into the ocean, which is spectacular, but you can sit out there in the morning with your coffee. You can go out there in the evening with a drink. You can just it is your little private space to look out at the ocean. And it's really hard to put a price on that. But for me, that I don't care what it is. I am typically paying that veranda price, regardless of what the difference may be, because it's that important to my cruise experience.
And what's weird is, my frugal self, I always thought in my brain that a veranda is a splurge, which it is kind of, but I thought being such, a veranda is going to be a huge jump from, an ocean view or an inside. And here's the deal. It's really not that big of an upgrade, like price wise, because here's the deal with Disney Cruise Line, most of the staterooms have verandas. So
Yep.
there's more of those staterooms than any other category. So really price the veranda, because you may see, oh, well, for 7 nights, it's only like $400 more or $500 more. So you
Right.
price it per night, per person. It's not that big a deal. And I'll tell you what, psychologically, it makes the stateroom feel my wife says this every time. It makes the stateroom feel way bigger.
It
Just even if
does.
you're not going out there, like she doesn't like really going out there at night. It kind of freaks her out. Like I love it. Like I'm out there, like I hang over. I just like
I'm looking at the stars. I'm looking at the water.
I
Yeah.
love the sound. I love, like, as we're at sea and it's just like
Yes.
it makes that like hissing sound, like that
Yes.
like going by. She's like, would you quit hanging over the side? Like I'm like, just don't push me. Like it's like a Dateline episode waiting to happen right now. But like I'm always out there just like dangling, like because they have the lights shooting on the side of the ship, like with my phone trying to get video, which never comes out well. I'm probably gonna drop $1,000 phone into the middle of the Caribbean.
Right. Yeah, I know. My fear too.
But it's one of those things, like I love it. Like I'm out there all the time. She's just like, I just want to be out there at night. But it's such a good upgrade. It is just like, you can smell that salt. I'm like, salty sea air at night. I love it. It makes me feel like a pirate. Anyway, so look at a veranda. Even if you don't get it, just price it and see. It's a good upgrade. It's a very good upgrade.
Yeah.
So we got that. We have itineraries. Bahamas, okay, but if you could swing Caribbean, I just think that the Caribbean it's such an up. Now it's gonna be a 7-night cruise, but it does sail out of Port Canaveral on the Fantasy, which Fantasy is a wonderful ship. All the ships are great. I mean, there's nothing wrong with any of the 5 ships.
Right.
I haven't been on the Wish yet, but I mean, I've only heard good things and I can't wait to sail it soon. But the thing is, like, the Fantasy right now of the ships I've sailed, my favorite by far. In a 7-night cruise, way better than a 4 or 5-nighter because you're on the ship longer. And I like the Western Caribbean because I'm one of those people. Again, I'm very active. Cozumel has a lot to do. You got Paradise Beach. I've done the Amazing Race twice in Cozumel. I've rented a Jeep. I've snorkeled. I've done all kinds of stuff in Cozumel. I should be like a honorary citizen of Cozumel, to be honest. I've like done it all. I've bought like ukuleles there. I've bought the paintings that where the guy spray paints it, like he spray paints like a painting of the ship and sets it on fire at the end, like whoosh, and like it sets. I have that somewhere. I gotta, when I get my office set up here soon, I'm taking that back out. But it's a fun place, and like Jamaica's fun, and we've been to Grand Cayman, we've been all over the place, and that's a very active itinerary. I think there's a lot to do. Eastern is more beautiful. I think it's more chill, but more beautiful, more scenic. But so those are good itineraries. Pam, what but I mean, then you got Alaska. I mean, we could get into that. You got the Med, you got all kinds. I mean, shoot, now you can go to Alaska. I mean, you go Hawaii. I mean, it's
Australia,
dude, everywhere. Where you want to go. That's a good thing about a cruise ship. It goes everywhere.
I know. And I think that's one of, when I'm looking at certain parts of the world, and Alaska being one of them, I think a cruise is the best way to see that, because you aren't just flying into one city and doing what's there. You get to visit a few areas. When I think about the Mediterranean and that part of the world, I 100% think that a cruise is a great way to explore that part of the world. There's no packing and unpacking at 8 different destinations as you travel from Italy to France to maybe Greece to Malta there's just some fantastic things that you get to see. And that's the beauty of the cruise ship too. So in addition to the Caribbean and the Bahamas itineraries, Disney Cruise Line also has some special itineraries that happen at different times of the year. So make sure you check those out too, because they're really worth seeing.
Okay, so let's talk nuts and bolts as far as like once you're on the ship, some just kind of pro tips. But we did get a couple of questions here in the live chat as we were talking, so I do want to address these. Kathy Actually, one of my guests over at the Magic for Less says we're sailing on the Disney Dream out of Miami in February. Our flights just got changed to 12:20 p.m. Is this too early? I'm thinking we should be okay because we are flying out of the Miami airport. Now, there are different times that Disney Cruise Line does recommend that you book this is post-cruise flights after your cruise. Because, and I'll say, because most people fly out of Port or sail out of Port Canaveral. For MCO, it's going to be noon. That's kind of your time. You'd never want to book a flight before noon.
Mm-mm.
I know that you could probably get a flight and make it at 11. You could, but you could miss that flight too. But most of the time, it's one of those things. Hey, just don't tell me. But yeah. But Disney Cruise Line says noon for a reason, because there are occasional times where the ship has to be cleared by authorities and it takes
Customs,
little
yeah.
and all that, and it rarely happens. But if you're on a sailing with me, with my luck, I mean, I'm a Mizzou fan. Stuff happens with me. So if you're on the ship with me, don't book before noon. I'm telling you, it'll happen. So, but this, but 12:20 is ideal. I think for Miami, it's noon as well. You don't want to have to wait till like 7 o'clock in the evening. That would stink. Orlando or Miami airport's fun to be in, but not that long. But Pam, they give guidelines for that. But noon is time to kind of start.
Yeah, so I looked it up. Actually, 11:30 a.m. is the earliest flight they recommend from Miami, and Disney Cruise Line does have a recommendation for each of those. Like Mike said, you can probably make earlier flights 80% of the time that you're sailing. Let's say that 20% the ship could be delayed. It could be weather, it could be fog, it could be
Galveston is a port where Galveston
yes.
and New Orleans get fog sometimes, and
They do.
Sometimes those ships can't come back in for like hours.
Right.
Yeah, so be careful.
So you don't want to do that. The other thing is, if you're really trying to make something earlier, you can actually walk off with your luggage around, as soon as the ship gets cleared by customs, and you'll hear that. And there'll be directions when you're on the ship explaining exactly how to do that, but that's something else that you can do.
Yeah, Scott did that on his last cruise that he took last minute recently, and he was he was off the ship, I think, by like 8. He was off super early because they were going to Walt Disney World.
Wow.
Yeah. So another question that Len's got out in Maryland, and he says, my wife has a low sodium dietary requirement. Does the cruise line accommodate these type of requirements easily? Do they keep track for you so you don't have to explain the situation at each meal? I'm so glad Len asked this question, because I think this is one of the things Disney Cruise Line does the absolute best. I mean, Pam, do you agree?
Yes.
As travel agents, we ask this question of our guests. And I mean, I've had some very unusual allergies or dietary restriction requirements. And when I call into Star or Frankie or thing is, like, Disney Cruise Line, they don't have as many like agents that we work with. So like, I feel like I'm family with all of them because we talk all the time. And their system, they must have a checkbox for like 9,000 dietary requirements. Because like, oh yeah, we have that, check. I'm like, you have like a checkbox for that, and if they don't, they'll put it in the notes. But they have, yes, they are great at this. They put it on the record.
Yeah, they are. It's actually something that Disney Cruise Line, like Mike said, excels at. You can note all your dietary requests and whatnot. And the servers will, remember that. The chef will probably come out at some point, if it is a really unusual one, and sort of walk you through. Whenever you go someplace that's not dinner, let's say you're going to the buffet for breakfast or whatever, just let any of the cast members know that you have a dietary restriction. They'll actually walk you through the buffet and tell you what things will be good to meet your dietary restrictions and what will not. And if you need, they will make you something special right there. They really do a great job. I have seen them work with guests with really strict dietary restrictions, and just, I think that those people walked away from the cruise being like, oh my gosh, I was so worried about this, and it turned out to be so awesome. Like, the chef made me this that fit my dietary need, and I haven't been able to have that in years because it does include this. And so it's fantastic. They really do a great job with all of that.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, what I hear from my guests is like, I'd never want to get off Disney Cruise Line. People that have really strict diets, like, it was so easy, and I wish I could have this in my regular life,
Yeah,
because like,
agreed.
it's so accommodating to making sure, which makes sense, right? Because the last place you would want to have an allergic reaction is, in the middle of the ocean. So
Mhm.
I think that's why they take it so seriously, which, makes me feel so good that, if you have an allergy, please let me know so I can get on the record so we have everything, all of our bases covered from day one.
Yeah.
That's what I always say. Okay, so let's get into some tips, just some stuff we've learned from being on the ship so many times. One of mine, I'm just going to go right off the top. Download the Navigator app
Mhm.
early and get to know it, because they're updating it all the time. It's always getting updated. But I mean, and the thing is, you don't want to be on your phone a lot on a cruise. Like, the thing I like about a cruise is being disconnected. But the app is helpful because it's your personal navigator, which back in the day was a paper little newsletter. But nowadays, what you can do is, once you get on the cruise, you can go day by day and highlight things, and like put a heart next to all the things you want to attend. And what it'll do is it'll give you like a little alert like 20 minutes before the event starts, and say, hey, don't forget, match your mate starting in the tube in 20 minutes. Because you could, because the thing is, you're doing so much on the ship, you're just like, oh man, I was going to go eat my 17th piece of pizza. Okay, well, I'll put the pizza down. I'm going to go to Match Your Mate. I'll come back after. And I think if you get to know the app and just really mess with it when and there's also a cool countdown feature, which is fun. You can post to social, but get to know the app. That's something you can do to kind of kill the time before the cruise. That's a big pro tip for me.
I love that. Yeah, the app is so important to your cruise. It's just something that you'll want to be looking there for different times. And you can even make an appointment to visit guest services. You can do all kinds of things through the app. But it's not something that you feel like you have to look at all the time. It's not really like My Disney Experience. It is for your convenience. It is an easy way to have the itinerary and all the things that are going on during your cruise just right there in your pocket. So I love that one too. I love that tip. The other thing that I would say is a great one for Disney Cruise Line is, you know, don't be afraid to really set aside some time to spend, like we talked about, in a quiet spot on the cruise line. There's going to be a lot of things going on. You're really going to want to have a moment to just sit there and look out at the ocean. And my rule that I tell people is you need to go ahead and see a sunrise and a sunset when you're
I,
on a cruise.
I know you can't have more than 100%. That is a million percent. That is,
It's
that's,
true.
it's, and I tell this to this is another tip that's like an unofficial Mike Rallman travel agent tip. That when you're going on a cruise, you must see a sunset and you must see a sunrise. If you have to shave off something from dinner one night, or you got to get up. I mean, Ricky never gets up early. I'm telling you, you have to. And the thing is, like, it is just, and I know I sound like I'm a preacher or something right now, but it restores your soul. Like, when you're from Missouri, you just don't get to see a sunrise over the ocean. Like, you just don't. Like, you have X amount of days in your life where you can do this. You can sleep in anytime. This is why you're on a cruise. Like, God, see the sunrise over the horizon on the ocean. It just makes my heart just like fill. It's so great.
I agree. It's just one of those things that, like, the sunrises and the sunsets can't be more beautiful than they are when you see them against some of the backdrops that you're going to see on your cruise. And it really is a great time to sort of feel like you have the ship to yourselves. It's you and a few other people in some of these locations to see the sunrise. It's really awesome, and I love that. Go get yourself a Cove coffee and just enjoy that sunrise. It's spectacular.
And it's so bizarre. You mentioned this, and this is one of the things that gets me every time I'm on a cruise, right? So say you're on the Fantasy. This ship holds a couple thousand people, crew of about 1,000, maybe 900. There are times when you're walking that ship early in the morning or late at night, and you do feel like you are like one of the few on that ship.
It's
And,
true.
people always say, "Oh, I'm going to be stuck on there with thousands of people," and I can't. There are times when you walk that ship where you feel it's eerie at night. Like, there's nobody around. You would not think that happens, and if you're a first time cruiser, you're like, Mike, you're nuts. And I'm telling you, it happens more than you would think.
Yeah, no, I totally agree.
And it's awesome. I mean, it's great because you can have, especially like if you're on a honeymoon, people do honeymoon on Disney Cruise Line. A lot of people honeymoon on Disney. It's super
Mhm.
romantic. And you know what? I mean, if you're an adult and you have kids, it's okay. You could still have romance. Your kids are going to love the kids clubs. The kids love the kids clubs. And then the parents actually get to be like regular people for a few days. It's awesome. It's okay, Pam, you're a big fan of the adult areas. I mean, just talk about
Yes.
those for just a second because Disney Cruise Line does these amazingly well.
It does. So we all know that there's going to be tons of things for kids to do on a cruise, but there are also so many things for adults to do on a cruise. There are designated adult only, put a period on that, areas. And that means no kids allowed, not under any circumstance. There's a pool area. There are coffee areas during at the evening. Once it switches over, there are lounge areas and areas of the ship that are reserved just for those who are 18 years or older. There are restaurants that are only available to adults, which is awesome too. But I want to say that I've, sailed on other cruise lines, and Disney Cruise Line really does a great job of sort of separating these from the other parts of the ship. There's, lots of things that people of every age can enjoy. But I think that these little oases where adults get to be alone, I think that's a really cool part of the experience. And the great thing is that your kids, if you do happen to be traveling with kids, also have the kids clubs available during those times so that they can visit those. So everyone is happy. There's something for everyone to do.
And I will say, and again, this is just my perspective and the way I see things, and we all see things slightly different, is that in the adult area, and I'm talking about the district, like the adult clubs. I'm not talking about like the pool and stuff. That place is awesome. It's during the day. But at night, after like 9 o'clock when it turns into the adults only area, there is kind of an edge to some of the shows that Disney puts on for the adults. But here's the thing. Disney knows like where the limit is. Like it can be edgy, but they never make it like over the line. You know what I'm saying? Like it's an adult, like you wouldn't want kids in there necessarily, but the thing is it's never like embarrassing or
Mm-mm.
to the point where, oh, this is like really, really crude. Because I've sailed Royal and they go a little bit further with their adult stuff. And it's fine. Like, I mean, that's fine for other folks. Like Disney's Disney. Like it's adult, but it doesn't, it takes it to like, just like a little bit over the line, not over the line, but just a little bit to the adult side where you wouldn't want your kids with you. But, it's never something I don't think it's never offensive.
Right.
I've never felt offensive, anything.
Right. You don't feel uncomfortable about it.
Which I really appreciate. I mean, it's fun. It's adult. We're doing match your mate, basically playing the newlywed game. And I mean, it gets crazy. Don't get me wrong. Because I mean, it's really been weird when like your friends are up there.
Right.
You're hearing about that stuff like, oh God, stop, please. No, stop. Yeah, it's so fun. So other things that I would say though, and Diane brought up another great thing about the app. Guest services now, you can chat with them through the app. That is such a huge hack. I mean, because you don't have to go down to deck 3 midship to talk to them and wait in the line. You can just chat and they can solve a lot of problems. I'm glad Diane brought that up because that is just, I mean, it came about because of COVID because they wanted to make stuff like contactless. But man,
Right.
is that not genius, Pam? That is such a great tip.
I love that. I love being able to do, things through the app like that. Like, hey, can I have this? Or I need assistance with this. They do a great job.
And then she also mentions the spas, which, that's one of those things. It's an upcharge, but rainforest room on some of the ships. They have heated loungers that, I mean, you just melt into, you kind of fall asleep.
Yes.
They have showers that have different kind of aromas to them and sounds, it'll sound like a thunderstorm or what have.
Yeah.
The thing is, yeah, these are kind of upcharges, Palo is an upcharge, but they're not that huge of an upcharge. Like you're already on the ship.
Mhm.
It's one of those things. It's kind of like a comparison to Genie Plus, right? At Walt Disney World. If you're looking for like a comparison, you've spent the money to book flights. You've spent
Right.
the money to, to get your theme park tickets. You've paid for your hotel, so you're 98% in. You really want to go over and really, really splurge and pamper yourself. get a rainforest room pass if it makes sense, if you're going to have the time to use it, really, take, if it's your honeymoon, it's an absolute yes. What's the goal of the trip? So I would say, and it's one of the things too, go up there during the open house on the day you embark the ship. They have specials and just check it out and see if it's for you. Maybe it's not for you, but go through the open house. That's another tip.
That's a good one too. And they sometimes have like a little drawing for like a spa thing, if you go through the spa talk. So I like that. And you get to see a view of, some of the different rooms and stuff too. I think that that's, a really cool part of it. Helps you get to know the ship. And that was going to lead into one of my tips too, which is usually on the first day, soon after embarkation starts, there is a tour called the Art of the Cruise Ship Tour. And I highly recommend that because it really gives you such a great overview of the ship. I'm going to warn you, it's a new thing. It's a new location for you, right? You're on the cruise for the first time. You're going to think, oh my gosh, how am I going to remember where this is? Or how am I going to whatever? You actually learn it a lot quicker than you think you will. But there's handy little maps located throughout, and the cast is there to assist. But the art of the cruise ship tour sort of takes you on all these different locations of the cruise ship that you'll want to visit at different times, and sort of gives you some history behind them, some information, some tips, and all of that. So definitely check that out.
And also, just so you know, the carpets on the Disney Cruise Line will tell you whether you're port or starboard, but depending on like what emblems and which way things are pointing in the carpets, which don't ask me right now, what
right.
I don't know. Because when you're in those corridors are long, and like, you can't tell if you're port or starboard when you're in the corridor. Like if you're on deck 7, you can't tell.
It's
like,
true.
I don't know. I can't tell if I'm walking forward or backwards. Like, I don't know. Like I get so discombobulated, but really, you figure out your way around the ship pretty quickly, and it becomes home.
It's true.
Quick. But it is kind of fun to get lost on a cruise ship. Like I love that, like exploring. Just think, mostly the adult stuff's on the back, on the more besides the Wish. Your clubs are going to be on the back. Your buffets are going to be also on the back, but up at the top. The adult areas are in the back at the bottom, and it's just you figure that kind of stuff out super quickly. And
you do.
But we could go on and on. We haven't even talked about Castaway Key or any of that stuff, but the ships are just one of those things for first timers. Don't miss the shows. Do not miss. I've skipped shows every once in a while because I've seen like the Golden Mickeys a bunch of times because I just want to sit out and watch the sunset. And that's cool, like on your 5th, 6th, 7th cruise, but you got to see the shows. That's why you're there. They're so good, and I would say if you have kids, try to do first dining, second show. That works out better usually for everybody. But if you can't get it, here's another tip. Disney Cruise Line has an option that if you have kids and you're on second dining, they will come and get your kids out of dinner during second dining, like real quick, and they'll take them to the kids club so you can kind of have a leisurely second dining. Bam. I mean, that's one of those things that like Disney just listened to the guests and just made it happen, because like that's one of the things I don't think they thought about initially, but it's like, oh, this solves a problem, and it's great for the kids and it's awesome for the parents. It's like a win-win-win.
It's true. It's true. And the other thing to note is too, your servers at dinner are wizards when it comes to entertaining the kids, serving the massive number of people that they have to serve, taking drink orders and everything else. We have had them entertain our kids so often. They're magic tricks and puzzles for us to solve and little things to keep us entertained. But yeah, absolutely. The other thing is utilize those kids clubs for dinners. They have great service, and that one that you were talking about, Mike, is just fantastic that they'll come and actually get kids.
So as we wrap the show, and again, now I just want to go on a cruise so badly.
I know, right? Every time we talk about a cruise, I'm like, when am I going again?
This is killing me. But it's one of those things that for a Walt Disney World fan, which I'm guessing you are for listening to our show, you're somebody who really enjoys going to Epcot and staying at, Riverside or what have you, you're a Walt Disney World fan. And a lot of our listeners have been on a Disney cruise at this point, but probably a lot of ours have not. And I would say that for my guests that have been in that situation, start off as, and I think a lot of us do start off as theme park fans, and then, are kind of curious about taking a cruise. From those folks that get back, they're just blown away because it's a different experience. I mean, because it's Disney combined with the real world. It's more real world than it is, fantasy land. At Walt Disney World Resort.
Mhm.
And the thing is, like, you get Disney touches everywhere you go on the cruise ships, but it's also very subtle. I mean, you get the characters right there in your face. They're all over the ships, but like the subtle Disney touches, like in the railings, in the lobby, in the appointments in the chairs in a restaurant, or your utensils at Animator's Palette. It's all very subtle, but in the overall Disney Cruise Line experience of 4 nights, 5 nights a week, it's almost perfect for a Disney fan. Like, it's just the right amount. I mean, you walk off the ship and I have not had hardly any guests that get back and just say it was almost perfect. Like, for a Disney fan, it's a great experience because it's the food. The food's outstanding. It's the service. It's the accommodations. It's the entertainment. It's
Mhm.
the whole deal. And the bottom line is it's so relaxing. You don't have to worry about much. It's very simple.
It is. It is. It's a simple vacation. It's a relaxing vacation. It's a vacation that everyone in your party is going to walk away from saying, wow, that was awesome. I got to do this, or I got to do that, or this was just for me, or this was just for my mom, or this was just for my little brother. I mean, it's that kind of thing that I think you walk away from. The number of guests that once they go on a Disney cruise want to go again is high. I mean, that's a high percentage of people. It's not a one and done kind of thing. And the reason that is that so many people go on and just truly love the experience. You don't have to worry about whether it's a crowded time to go or a not crowded time to go. The ship only holds so many people, regardless of what time of year they are. And most of them do sail full. You don't have to worry about park reservations. You don't have to worry about park hopping. You don't have to worry about My Disney Experience. You don't have to worry about any of these things that can complicate a Walt Disney World vacation. It's an easy thing. And I think that adds to the fact that you're there to relax. You're there to vacation. You're there to step away from the real world.
That's exactly it. And it's also it's a wonderful, wonderful experience for extended family. Like, if the grandparents want to go on a cruise with the grandkids, I mean, there's something for everybody, right? I mean, it's just the ship's only so big. You're not trudging around 13 miles a day like you are at Walt Disney World in the 95-degree heat. You're inside a lot of the time, or if you're on deck, you can just walk inside of the air conditioning very easily. If you're on deck, you have a drink in your hand, by the pool, or you're on the beach at Castaway Cay or at Paradise Beach in Cozumel, what have you. You're heading to Alaska, in the middle of July. How awesome is that, looking at glaciers? It's just and group cruises are just amazing. I love cruising with my family, but man, we've made some memories in our group cruises, Pam, because
I agree.
you become just fast friends. That's how Scott and I met, was on the podcast cruise. And like, by the end of the cruise, we were like brothers, and we've never, like, that has not stopped, the years and years later, because you have this time, you have nothing to worry about but having fun, because you're disconnected from the world. And it's, until you do it, it's hard to describe, but it is just like
It is.
fast friends on a cruise.
It is. It's just one of those like life experiences. And I think that if you haven't tried it, you owe it to yourself maybe to check it out. Before we went on a Disney cruise, my husband was very reluctant to do this. He was sure that there wasn't going to be enough to do, or he wouldn't like things or whatever. He didn't really want to do it. And I will say it's one of his favorite vacations, cruising, for sure.
It is my favorite. I'll give you that. I mean, I love Disneyland. I fell in love with Disneyland in July, but Disney Cruise Line's still the top because it is just so, it's got everything. I mean, it's so chill. It's so fun. You get to see the real world, which I love. I love geography. I love just getting out there. Oh, okay. I'm going to the website. So anyway, those are some of our tips. We could go on forever. We'll continue this on Sunday nights. If you have any specific questions, cue those up. Give us a call on Sunday night. Scott will be with me. He's cruised many, many times, and we'll talk Disney Cruise Line. So 7:00 Eastern, 6:00 Central this Sunday night. YouTube and Facebook will be waiting for you for the BOGP open line. All right, we're going to get out of here. And don't forget, our shows are always brought to you by the Magic for Less Travel. And here's the last pro tip. If you're going to book a Disney cruise, book it with the Magic for Less. One, you're going to get all these great tips in your inbox that are going to get you not only excited, but you're going to be 100% prepared for your cruise when the time comes. But here's the money tip. And I'm talking literally the money tip. You're going to get up to a 5% onboard credit for booking with the Magic for Less, which means you pay exactly the same as you would booking at DisneyCruise.com. But we give you some money right there in your onboard account. So when you walk on the ship, you can walk on like Scrooge McDuck. You can walk on just like you can put a tuxedo on, you can get the cane, then you can be like, okay, those people in front of me, they're walking on, they got zero in their onboard account. You walk,
Right.
I'm rolling in, I'm 250 up. And guess what? There's no casino on the Disney Cruise Line ships. No chance that's going in the one-armed bandit because there is not one to take it. Now, you can't use it for tips. I will find you. Even if you're in Jamaica, I will come get on a speedboat and find you. But you can use it for anything else. If you use it, just don't tell me for that. But yeah, no kidding. It is just a little bonus. It's our thank you for supporting the agency. It gets you started. We want you to have a great time, and it's a great way to have a little extra fun on your cruise. So just swing by themagicforless.com. Again, like I said, all the itineraries are there. Just click on the tab at the top. It says Disney Destinations. Go to Disney Cruise Line, and you're on your way. All the fun stuff is right there. And we'd love to help you plan that trip. So check them out over at themagicforless.com. Also, please use our Amazon affiliate link this holiday season. We'd sure appreciate that. It's beourguestpodcast.com/Amazon. And a sincere thank you to the patrons of the show each and every month. You guys support everything we do. Couldn't do it without you. And our patrons get that bonus show called Mike in the Midwest. Join us over there if you can. Be Our Guest Podcast or patreon.com/Be Our Guest Podcast. I should know that one. Give Pam a follow on social media. She's at TMFLT Pam. I'm at Be Our Guest Mike. Would love to talk to you this weekend. And we're going to get out of here and let you get on with that weekend. And I wish I was getting on that cruise line ship right now. But until then, we're going to have a good time. We'll talk to you on Sunday night. So for Pam, I'm Mike, wishing you a great Friday and an awesome weekend. Stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll see you real soon.
Boom. I do want to go on a cruise now.
Oh, me too. So,
man.
Let me save this real quick. Episode. And real quick. So 2188. Edited. All right, I'm just gonna use one word credit for tips. Yeah, Rainforest Room approved, Rhonda Lee. That is a great use.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Yeah, that 100% approved. Yes.
Yes. Yes. I like that she was so scared.
I'll be honest, Rhonda Lee, we don't know how you use it.
No, we have no idea.
But I have friends in high places at cruises.
For sure.
Dennis is a cruise expert. Dennis has sailed the 7 seas with Disney Cruise Line. He's getting to the Wish next month. That's gonna be awesome.
Oh, I think it's interesting to hear everyone's thoughts on the new ship. I loved it, so
I can't wait. I cannot wait. Because it's got Mexican food on it, man. It's got a cantina. That's what I've always said.
And barbecue.
Oh God, please. Okay, I gotta go because I gotta get ready for the basketball game.
All right, awesome.
Thanks for doing this, and I will
we'll see
you Sunday.
Okay, bye.